Hi, welcome everyone. I am here. So I'm Alex Edwards, and I'm here with Brigitte Reyes, and she is a sales enablement specialist at Panasonic TOUGHBOOK. So I first met you, I think, at the Social Business Exchange, right?
Yeah,
Where you had an amazing presentation, which was called "Finding Ikigai in Social Selling." Now, I'm not going to lie, you took us through that beautifully, but I did have to quickly Google what Ikigai was
yeah,
while you were talking, because it's not something that we're all familiar with, right?
yeah. I got that a lot, but thanks for the compliment. It was a really fun event, and yeah, no pressure at all for this live. Then I guess.
Yes, exactly. We just not we don't have to swear, and then we're all good. I think that's as
That should work.
exactly. We just go through questions, right? So just as a reminder for anyone listening or watching, if you add questions for us in the comments, this is being recorded. So if you have to drop out earlier, you can simply bookmark the link and then access later or listen via a podcast. So that's all the admin out the way. But what we're going to talk about today is how Panasonic TOUGHBOOK tackled the social selling skills gap. And this is a subject dear to my heart because I've been doing a lot of work since I started work at Tribal Impact on social selling. And I know how hard it is to get it right. So I guess my first question, Brigitte, is can you start by introducing Panasonic TOUGHBOOK? Because a lot of people wouldn't know the TOUGHBOOK part of Panasonic, and also your role within sales enablement.
Yes, absolutely. So I assume that most of the viewers here are familiar with Panasonic. Panasonic ToughBook is a business unit within Panasonic, and we sell rugged IT hardware. So laptops and tablets that can withstand harsh environments. Our customers are mostly working outside in the field, or they are mobile IT users. So they need rugged IT that can, still work after it's being dropped or in extreme heat or extreme cold in the rain, all of that stuff. So that's what we do. Aside from devices, we also sell services and solutions. The focus has been on that for a few years now as well. So it's the complete package, full managed service. And sales enablement is a role I've been doing here for 2.5 years approximately. And it's actually just my job to support the sales teams with whatever they need to sell. And for my time here at Panasonic, it's been mostly training. So whenever a new service is launched or a new device version launches, for example, the sales teams is trained on that, and I make sure that they have the materials they need to present to their customers, or to create slide decks themselves. So that's
Yeah,
what I
that's
do.
perfect. Yeah, and I know from, you know, uh, being married to someone in sales, I know that, it's often quite difficult to get sales to come out of people in sales to come out of their comfort zone. So I think everything that you're doing, providing them all the communication and documentation that you can for them to be speaking with their customers as well as they can is amazing, because I think that's what they need in order to tell the right story and
Yeah.
to talk about solutions rather than products, I think.
Yeah, well, they're busy, of course. They're always on the go, so they need a good support team, and I think that any good sales team is supported by an excellent team behind that, providing whatever they need. So that's what I try to do as well.
Perfect. And going back to, so when I introduced you, we mentioned you kind of introduce us at the Social Business Exchange to the concept of Ikigai. And I guess, how does the Japanese concept influence your approach, or has influenced your approach to social selling?
Yeah, that's a funny question, kind of, because it has multiple answers. And to be honest, the idea of linking the social selling program to the concept of Ikigai only came after you guys invited me for the keynote. Because I
Okay.
really wanted to drive the message across that what we did was purposeful. It wasn't just posting online and gaining visibility anywhere. We really had a clear goal in mind. And the concept of Ikigai helps you find your purpose. Um, for the people who don't know what Ikigai is, it's essentially this Japanese concept that urges you to answer 4 questions. It's: what are you good at? What do you love to do? What does the world need? And what makes money? And if you find the overlap of these 4 questions, then you have found your ikigai. And the second reason why I wanted to use ikigai as a concept to like frame the whole social selling program is obviously because we are a Japanese company, and it's still very palpable in how we conduct business, how we behave, how we interact with others and our customers. I've worked here for 2 years. I came from a company that was Western based, had more of an American approach to things, and it's very different coming to the Japanese business philosophy. So yeah, I thought ikigai was the perfect way to present our program in that way.
Yeah, amazing to hear and listen and learn really at the event that we had. So with regards to social selling, what was the trigger for starting your social selling journey? What level of adoption or social adoption at the time? Because I know that, you know, getting people to do things in new ways is often hard. There are challenges, and I suspect that you saw a lot of those challenges in the role that you were doing. So if you could talk us through that, that would be great.
Yeah, well, we were dealing with challenges that I guess a lot of companies are dealing with right now, and that's new business. We wanted new business, we wanted new logos to acquire new logos, and we also wanted to expand business within existing accounts. And there's different ways to do that, and I think we're doing most of them. We're actively prospecting, we're calling, we're sending out emails, all of that. But a piece of the puzzle that was still missing from our side was this interaction on social media. And yeah, there's plenty of social media channels, but obviously for a B2B company, LinkedIn seemed to be the perfect platform. So that's why we wanted to incentivize our sellers and use our sellers to, you know, get closer to the person behind the LinkedIn account, get closer to decision makers, and yeah, provide them with valuable content they actually needed. So that was the main driver of the program. Visibility is, of course, it's nice. It's a nice to have, but you know, we wanted to get to the heart of our customers, and LinkedIn was just one way to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned one of the key goals being to get to the customers, which is obviously, you know, the end goal for any selling program. But what other key goals did you have for that program specifically?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I noticed at the Travel Impact event that our metrics by which we measured success and our desired results were a little bit different. Obviously, we did social selling, right? So we activated only sellers. And the goal wasn't to have massive likes or shares or reposts, all of that. The goal was just, you know, to have that one client that was on the win list. So every single one of our participants, it was a small pilot project, by the way, 5 salespeople, and they had 5 key accounts in mind that they wanted to get closer to.
Yeah.
So in total, we targeted 25 accounts. And we urged the participants to post content that was valuable to these specific accounts. And the best way that I can compare it to, it's almost like if you have, this is going to sound a little childish, but like, bear with me because it's a good analogy. If you have interest in someone, if you have a little crush on someone maybe, and you drop a picture on like Facebook or Instagram, in order, of course, to get that interest, because you've done your research, you know that they're into sports or music, so you know their interests, you know what they are doing every day. So you decide to post a picture of yourself at a concert to show, look, we are the same, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that picture getting 500 likes, but none of that like is from that crush. You have a lot of reach then, and by usual metrics, that's a good post. But the purpose you had in mind has missed its mark totally. Now imagine that same post has 2 likes, and one of those likes is your crush. Then for you, that was a successful post.
Yes.
And that's also the game that we played, right? We wanted to get close to certain people, to certain industries. We wanted to make sure that they were attractive to us because we were providing content that they're interested in and that they needed to hear and to read. And I think that's where the success came from the social selling program. It wasn't about quantity. It was really, really about quality.
Yeah, and that shows from the results that you got from the program as well. It's cutting through the noise to make sure that you, like you say, you're focused on those key customers and making them understand what you have to give them, but also it's you and the sales team understanding what they need from
Yeah.
the content that you're putting out. And it's so important. I think a lot of people miss that, especially on LinkedIn, because there's so much content out there. Actually, you sometimes forget exactly who you really need to speak to.
Yeah. And
When you're
when in doubt about the content you have to post, you go back to the Ikigai concept. What is it that the person you're targeting is good at? What are they doing? What's their talent? What is
yeah.
making them money, right? What do
Yes,
they love to do?
what's important.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and what's their purpose? And you align with that, of course, in a way that is authentic and that is still valuable. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a really good analogy. I love it. So in my experience, social adoption, although it's been spoken about for many, many years, it can still be challenging for businesses out there to get their pilots off the ground. You mentioned that what you were doing was a pilot. Why do you think that this is? And from your experience, what helped you get internal buy-in? Because we all know that actually when it comes to pilots and trying new things, a lot of people feel comfortable in going to what they know. So moving forward for that and looking at innovation or innovative ideas. So what helped you get that internal buy-in?
Yeah. Well, I think what most people are probably struggling with is accountability on who will spearhead the program. I think Felipe actually made a post on this. Felipe Torres from Tribal Impact. We're on first name basis, sorry, but people
Yes.
who are listening might not be. But he actually made a post about this, like who is actually owning this project. And especially with social selling, there's such a nice overlap between enablement, marketing, sales. But obviously the sales director isn't going to spearhead this program because they are busy, doing everything that creating pipeline and making sure that we're on track. So it's hard to define in whose package of tasks that should be. So I think that's holding back a lot of people. But I would just say, pick one, pick someone, and someone who is like has maybe knowledge of both marketing and sales. That's a nice blend to have. So unsure who will spearhead the project is definitely one of the things that is maybe holding companies back. The other thing is maybe an uncertainty of how to measure success. Because, especially when you're working on LinkedIn, you have increased connections, you have your SSI score, you have Sales Navigator. There's all of these things. You have, the amount of posts that you made, your reach. But all these measures are mostly quantity measures, and it's hard to translate them into quality measures. Like, how can you prove to your boss, to your manager, like these 20 new connections that I have are really, really golden nuggets? Like it's almost impossible to prove because you never know. So I think that's probably it. Yeah, lack of responsibility. Who's going to take this, and a lack of clarity on how to measure results.
Okay, perfect. And I guess specifically around skills, what was the approach for upskilling the sales team? So how did you encourage them to take part? Was it easy, hard? I suspect some, raised their hand and came willingly, and others probably were a bit more hesitant due to the fact that they've never done anything like this before, or maybe they've tried and it hasn't gone well. So, how did you encourage that taking part element, and then what did the training look like as well?
Well, for us, the participants were already clearly defined in the sense that we wanted salespeople. And we worked further on that. So we are based in the whole of Europe, but we wanted the whole of Europe to be represented in those 5 participants as well. So we then tried to pick from different markets. So we had as wide of a reach as possible. And the third criteria was based on the maturity index that Tribal Impact created. We didn't start with people who weren't regularly posting, who didn't have a big network. We really started with a very select few people that we didn't need to push over that initial threshold of starting to post. Because we've noticed in previous projects that we've tried as well, that's the hardest thing, getting people over their fear of looking stupid and to
Yep.
finally post their ideas online.
Yeah.
Once you're over that threshold, it's easy. Then it's just fine tuning. And for that, we just, we we got help from the experts. We had weekly or bi-weekly sessions, fine-tuning the content, fine-tuning the use of Sales Navigator to find the right people. To make sure that the sequence of posting was right. So we needed some extra help on how to exactly work the system of LinkedIn. But as far as the stories and the talent and the willingness to post, that was already there. And when we asked people to join, they were really eager to jump at the chance, because even though people don't often, or sellers don't often have a specific strategy on how to post and what to post on LinkedIn, once they get the chance to step into a project like this, they're often like the first to say yes.
Yes. Yeah. And the key, I think you mentioned the setup there. So mentioning, you spoke about selecting someone from each market to go across Europe, which is amazing. You've got the setup of the key accounts that you knew that you wanted to go after and I guess build your connections with those accounts as well. And then finally you got the people that wanted to be there. So they already had the baseline of what they knew about LinkedIn, but you wanted to push that further to get them more involved. I think that's exactly, when we're talking about social selling with other clients as well, that's exactly, the hardest element is getting those individuals and not forcing them to do it. You have to get people that want to do it and want to talk and want to learn more as well. It's about teaching them a new way of working that they might not have had enablement training on before, and that's brilliant. And they love it. Like you say, everyone that goes through it actually is now a believer in what they're posting. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah. For us, it was truly about upskilling. We also had like a carved out time to get this program going. We had, I think, 12 or 15 weeks, something between that, because, timelines often get, stretched a little bit in projects like this. But let's say 15 weeks. So we really didn't have time to start people on how to optimize their profiles. And like we needed to have people who already had hit the ground running and scale those behaviors, upskill them.
Yeah. And now you've learned from that as well. You can take those learnings into future programs, so which is perfect. Now you've got the results. So that brings me on to my next question, I guess, and it's probably the question that everyone that's talking about social selling wants to know and understand, which is, what results and successes can you share with us on the call today? Because ultimately with sales, it's all about pipeline, it's all about revenue generation. And so at the end of the pilot or the program, what results can you share with us today?
Well, of course, I can't divulge any numbers. But there's some really interesting metrics that we have seen. Like I said, we had a strategy and we worked with salespeople. So for us, the things we counted, the metrics we used were touch points with hot leads, getting a conversation in with that person that you really want to talk to. We've targeted 25 accounts and we secured conversations with 22 leads. Now, they weren't all from different accounts. Sometimes within one account, we had maybe 2 people interested. But still, like I said at the Tribal Impact event as well, it's been a while since I've seen a campaign generate 22 hot leads, like 22 people ready to talk, knowing who they're speaking to, knowing what they want to know, ready to go into these conversations. And it's really because of the hard work of the participants, of course, and their excellent skill to just have that perfect message, to have, to do the work behind the person, to research their interests and their needs, and to post with that one person in mind. What do they want to read from me today? What do they want to hear from me today? And if you do that for a couple of weeks, the results are truly amazing. You really it's almost like you have an offline connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in businesses where I've worked with before, more on the influencer side. Actually, when you connect peers in different organizations, whether it's, you know, different executives or whether it's an influencer, and I'm talking B2B influencers, so, you know, experts in artificial
Yeah.
intelligence, and, you know, and those relationships actually do carry on offline. So they meet up in person. If they're in the same city, they'll often, and I still know people today that meet up, and it's great to forge those relationships, because it's key, especially in sales, you know.
Yeah.
So and it's offline and online, and I think it's amazing
Yeah.
with the results that you can get from that.
I think in B2B, we've been focusing, all of us, by the way, we've been really thinking about how to reach other businesses. And that's on all of us. I see this on LinkedIn all the time. It's business speak, it's business lingo, it's corporate jargon, right? It's B2B all the time. And there's really this hole in the market for just people talking to people. And the
Yes.
thing is, they are already there. They're sitting in the network of your sellers. So you don't have to create a huge marketing. Well, you do, of course. That's next to it. You have to create huge marketing campaigns, all of that. But it's such a nice addition to have these, yeah, to have these specific messages going out into the market that feel like you are being targeted as a person, because, you know, our targets were being targeted as a person and not as a business. And I think that's what made the success of this project.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned the 22 connections or meetings that you got, and some of the individuals were from the same company. But I think nowadays, when the buying circle is much larger than it used to be, you need to have different connections within a company in order to get the results that you want, so that the sales cycle is shorter, for one, but also so that you have more impact. So you can have everyone within that buying circle, you know, in a call or in a room if you've got an in-person meeting. So, you know, that's just the way that the world's going at the minute, with that enlarged buying circle. So I think, you know, you having those meetings or connections building within the same company is amazing, because it just shows that you're getting to the right people when you need to.
Yeah, and also it might be a sign that internally the customer that we are targeting is already talking about us. If we've connected with that one person in procurement, let's say, and then suddenly you have a connection with that person in IT or with that person in HR, I don't know,
Yep.
then there might have been a conversation going on that you were not part of, but it's because you were so careful with your valuable content. So yeah, it lingers on as well
Yeah.
within internally with the customers that you're targeting. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
it's a good sign.
I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear those conversations that you can't quite capture, either on social or through email or anything, where there are conversations happening all the time. And like you say, someone in procurement might have seen one of those posts, and they had that conversation with someone in, I don't know, marketing or whatever it might be. And that's how you build those connections and that
Yeah.
story. And
Well,
I
you won't
yeah,
find the content of those conversations, or you can't be a fly on the wall, that's for sure. But you can find them in reactions on posts. You can find them in the
yes,
network of the person you're targeting. You can find them in the things they are posting themselves. You can find them in likes and reposts. So just, you know, have a genuine interest for whoever you're targeting, and they
yes,
are telling you so much about themselves just by their behavior online, about their
yeah,
professional needs and wants and interests. So yeah,
yeah,
just get into it and yeah, use that to your advantage. Yeah.
yeah.
Be a
And
trusted
listening.
advisor.
Yeah, exactly. Listening to what they have to say, rather than just telling them what it is that you might have to sell. It's about listening and understanding. You're totally right.
Yeah, let it start with them, because chances are anything you're doing from a company is based on customer needs, right? So the need is
Yeah,
still there, even if you're solving it. There's always new needs developing. There's always a way to figure out what those needs are, and yeah, salespeople are the best, by the way, to gather that information. Yeah, when they have
no,
their interest in an account, oh, they will buy it. Yeah.
yeah, no, like I said, my husband's in sales, and he is exactly that. You know, he loves a story, loves listening, loves finding out about everyone else in the room. He once told me, he said, that's why it's, because I said to him, you know, sometimes you tell these things and not everything has happened in the way that you say that it's happened in that order. He said, that's why it's called a story, Alex, not a fact.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I get that, but it's about listening to the person and understanding, but having the knowledge to back all of that up with the training, with the solutions that you've got from a business, and that's key. Knowing what your customer wants at the time that they want it.
Yeah.
That's the true skill.
Yeah, because the best salespeople, they're often really good people as well. And you
Yeah.
won't see it because you're not in the customer conversations, but
Yes.
they're selling an awful lot. And it's not because they have the best technical knowledge, or because they have the best, latest sales skill that is hot now
Mhm.
and not anymore next week. It's because they have a genuine interest in people.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and it shines through with the people that are good at selling. No, I totally get it. So going back to the social selling pilot that you had, what advice would you give to those considering a similar pilot?
Two pieces of advice that really helped me or us in this project. First of all, is trust the experts. Find someone you trust, partner up with them, be curious, learn. So we've partnered up with Tribal Impact. It's been a great help to structure everything and also to have the results after the project had ended. So obviously, go ahead and find people who can help and support you. The second piece of advice is a little bit contradictory to my first one. It's you have more than you think. You have so much tools that you can already use. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you're already there for 90% of the part. You just have to show up. If you have a Sales Navigator license, that's great. You're already 95% there. There's no need, there will be a lot of temptation to go and buy new things for your tech stack, a new plugin for this or that, new platforms, and there's tons of those, right? But my advice is, for a pilot project like this, you really don't need that. You have the most valuable thing, and that is your salespeople's network. They've been
Yeah,
talking to these people for years. They've met them at events. They had dinner with them. They've sold to them. These are like actual people that they know. They're already in the network. Use that network. Use it, scale it, entertain it, take care of it, and the results will come. So yeah, you have so much that you're already sitting on. You
yeah,
have a network, you have your enthusiastic participants, you have the stories that you don't want to post because you think, who will want to read that?
yeah. And
You
I
have
love the comment that you made, take care of that network as well. I think that's really important. It's, you know, it's making sure that you're talking in a way that helps your network when it comes to posting online. It's a case of nurturing your relationships, and like we said before, you know, it's about taking those relationships offline as well as having those connections on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, taking care of it, I think, is really, is probably something people overlook maybe too much,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to LinkedIn. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of posts on my LinkedIn right now is about people complaining about the lack of quality posts on LinkedIn.
Yes,
Ironically enough, these are the ones that come back. And I think, well, then be the change and post something valuable.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to post every day. I think that's a myth also, depending on what you want to achieve. Absolutely, right? There's definitely a case for some people to post every day. If you're in social selling, there's probably no need to do that. Hold
No.
off until you have a quality piece of content, write your story with it, and that's what you need, not a
Yeah,
daily schedule. Yeah.
yeah. And I guess this brings us a little bit into the next question, which is around AI. Because we talked, you just mentioned about making sure that you're only posting when you have something thoughtful to say, something that will, you know, is a message, but obviously it's something that can incite thoughts of others as well that are listening. So are you exploring any ways that AI can be adopted into the social selling strategy? And it doesn't necessarily have to be around posts, because we want them to be authentic and unique. But are there other ways that you've seen it help or work with regards to efficiency potentially, or cost, anything like that?
Well, there have been some participants who have used like AI tools of their own to like get an idea of interest. Like then the program ranks the targets by interest, for example, or to generate content. And I know you said like aside from that, but I think that's the thing that we're probably used to most.
Yeah.
At least to have like ideas, not that we're pushing out AI generated content, not at all. And by the way, LinkedIn wouldn't really support it with their push to more authentic content. So that really wasn't the way to go. But no, actually, we didn't really use any AI tools in this pilot project. And yeah, the results were just man-made, I think, just regular intelligence.
That's great. And I think, with AI, like you say, it's about trying to help come up with ideas rather than actually writing the posts for you as well. And I think from a strategic perspective, it helps, where we've been working with clients, it helps look at company strategy, and specific elements of their strategy, so you can get to know the customers a little bit better, so that when you do come to talk very thought through, you've obviously done your research based on, potentially what those company objectives, or what the company objectives are for that particular quarter or year. So it's a difficult one, and a lot of people are talking about generative AI and how it can be adopted into different strategies. So I love the fact that actually everything that you did was very authentic as well, which I think it needs to be. So
yeah, exactly.
And I guess one kind of final question is, how are you keeping the momentum going, and what's next for the program? So have you got any plans for the future?
Yes, so the program has come to an end now. So it's in the sense that we are not actively meeting up with you guys from Tribal anymore. Like the support has ended now. The framework has been built, and now it's on us to continue that. We noticed that the momentum has dropped a little bit, in the sense that people are posting a little bit less often. But the damage has been done in the best way possible. The results are proven. People have booked really interesting conversations, and it's hard to look away from that once you've experienced it, right? So it turned out to be a great way to meet your target customers. So in that sense, it's continued. We've also noticed that other people in the business have been inquiring about joining a program like this. When can I participate? Can I have my Sales Navigator license? What can I do to join this? So that's great as well. People are talking about it internally. Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's one of the best results, right? Internally, to have people say, how can I raise my hand and be a part of something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great sign. We've also, at the end, incentivized our participants with a little bit of merchandising. I think that's always good to do, like close the project with a big thank you, because obviously it's their personal platform and it does take a little bit of time and effort to post regularly. Acknowledge that above anything else. And what's next is that we do have a brand ambassador program going with Panasonic right now. It's the Panasonic Connect level. So it's a level over the business unit. So it's higher up. People are participating. You could sign up. And it's out of our hands from sales enablement right now. But that's good. It's in very capable hands. And I'm sure that, people will be LinkedIn superstars in no time. I'm really curious to see the results. And I like to think that our initial social selling pilot did help a little bit to kick that off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant news. Okay, well, those are all the questions that we have for today. Bijie, how can people connect with you? I'm guessing if we put your LinkedIn details in the chat, maybe in the comments. But are people okay to connect with you after this if they want to know more?
Yeah, please send a connection request. I'm very easy with the accepts. I do like to know how you find me though. So if it was through this LinkedIn Live, put that in a little note so I know that's what your interest is, so that I can target you. No, I'm kidding. But then I know like what our shared values are and how we can continue the conversation. So yeah, feel free to just shoot me a connection request. I'm happy to accept.
Amazing. And I've also got to mention that if you want our Tribal Impact newsletter, if you want to be notified about any further events, then there is a link in the comments as well. But that's it for today. So thank you, Brigitte. Thank you for taking part. Thank you everyone for listening. And yeah, I guess we'll sign off and go about the rest of our day.